Okay. Okay. Looks like we are rocking and rolling. Hello, everyone out there in the beautiful world. My guest today, her name is Supawan Green. And Supawan Green is an incredible, extraordinary author and leader. Well, the reason how we met was through Chris O'Connor. And Chris O'Connor created his beautiful Deems device, which is a electromagnetic crystal healing device that Supawan came across and has been traveling across Thailand and distributing to many, many people that Deems device. So that's how we met. Supawan, welcome. I'm so happy to have you on my channel.
Hello, Dani. Yeah, thank you.
So please introduce yourself and tell us, yes, how we kind of connected and the start of this amazing life that you are living.
Yes. Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to your beautiful program. Okay. Yeah, we met through Chris O'Connor, who went to Thailand in November just gone. Okay, so he mentioned about you. And I also know you through, Elena Denan, Michael Sala. I watched your interview the last time with Michael Sala, which is, very interesting. Okay, so you want me to introduce about myself?
Yeah, so we met. So Chris came out to Thailand and you went across and so went to your healing center, which we will come to. But how did you start on your healing journey? How did you get into Buddhism? What was that journey like for you?
Oh, what was the journey? Gosh, this part, I have to go back to my student year. Is that okay? Which is a long, long time ago. Yet I was in the height of Vietnam War, when I was a teenager. So I really grown up in Thailand in a really, really what you call brainwashed society, and thinking that the war, everything, is so okay, it's okay for the American troops, the GI to base in Thailand. But I didn't realize that this is all, about brainwash. Anyway, before I went into university, I had a chance I was a foreign exchange student and spent a year in Houston, Texas. Okay, so from high school student straight into the American high school, which is quite a cultural shock, And then from there, that was the first time that I found out that wasn't everyone that agreed with Vietnam War, because there was the anti-war going on in Austin, Texas, in Houston, Texas. And that was the first time that I experienced something like that is totally in the opposite from Thailand. Okay, so anyway, when I came back to Thailand, I went into university, and it was a massive change then. My mind was really, something went on that I need to know what is the meaning of life. And because that first year of my student year, there was a crackdown on students because we had a protest, and the government cracked down on students. So students were killed, and some of them were my friends. Okay, and that was the beginning of the pain, the mental pain. I was only 19 years old. Okay, but I suffered the mental pain, and then really want to ask, what is the meaning of life? Okay, so it was that pain really that walked me into a temple one day in front of a Buddha statue. And I asked the Buddha that, I know that you could help me, but honestly, I could not understand your language, the Dharma word, all this Pali jargon, everything, I just could not understand. But I just know that Buddha could help me. And I have the really soft spot, on the Buddha. I love his life story. But regarding the Dharma, the teaching, I couldn't really understand. So I really asked for his help. I said that, look, my pain is just like a block of pain in here. I want it out, but I don't know how. I don't know how to have access to your teaching. It's just like talking telepathy to the Buddha statue in the yeah, in a temple. But for some reason, from that point onward, my life seemed to change. I stumbled onto a teacher, stumbled onto the teaching that could help me to experience the peace, the inner peace for the first time in my life. That was only about 12 months after that, you know. And so basically I went into a forest monastery, and then the morning chanting in the temple, that was so peaceful. And that was really the first time that I experienced this really profound, you know, bliss within. And I knew straight away that this is it. This is exactly what I want to have and to learn and to explore more. How can I have this kind of blissful, you know, state of mind with me a bit longer and longer? Because after that, I lost it. Yeah. Anyway, so that was the start.
Right. That's so beautiful when you find
my spiritual journey. Yeah. From that point onward, at the point of 19 years old up till now. Yeah.
Right. That beautiful chanting that soothes and calms, however we get there, that thing that touches us, that elixir of life that just brings everything into calm. I want to go back a couple of steps here. You mentioned that there was a protest at your university. The government were cracking down on students. Now, was this back in Vietnam?
No, that was in Thailand. I mean, that was in Thailand, but that was also the height of the Vietnam War at that time. So you could imagine that, you know, a lot of killing went on in the world stage, really, because the Vietnam War went on for a long time.
Yeah.
So I experienced all this pain, of this suffering on the global scale, you know, from childhood, really. You know, the news, everything is all about killing. And so at that age, I began to ask really seriously, deep in my heart, that what life is all about.
Yeah.
You know, why there are so many suffering in the world. I think the first book that I wrote, you know, Dear Colin, What is the Meaning of Life? There was a chapter that I talk about, you know, Vietnam War, and the title is Why is there so much, you know, suffering in the world? And then come to the cracking down on students, and we were killed at young age, you know. All the students, we were young, and then we have really good intention for the country, but why we were treated like that? So that is kind of the additional pain that, you know, just come down on me. It's just too much.
Can I ask you a question, Supawan? Can I ask you not to harp too much on the violence and the awful murders that you witnessed with your own eyes? Why were the government in Thailand killing students? Why were they trying to stop students?
At that time, because we have the military, you know, the really tyrant, you know, ruled the country for a long time. Really a long time, you know, is the military government for a long time. But at that time, when I was young, I couldn't really understand. So my first year university, it was the time that all the students leader, you know, they really pushed forward, you know, a range of these massive demonstration, you know, on a really grand scale. And then the target was trying to purge the tyrant out of the country. And that is what we did. So before the tyrant, you know, went, they kill us first. They kill us first.
Good Lord, to try and make it simple.
About 80 or 100 students were killed. And that really hit me hard. Yeah.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I love that when you went to Houston, Texas, the Americans sure as hell let you know what their thoughts were. That's one great thing about Americans that I love, is they're going to let you know, lady.
Vietnam, you know, the anti-Vietnam, I never heard I mean, I was 17 then when I went to Houston, and then I was really naive, came out from the old girl high school and straight into American high school. It's just really a cultural shock then. And then to see all the things, that I never experienced in Thailand, it's really take me out, from from this small box that I've been, brainwashed all my life up to that point.
Yeah.
So it was quite an eye-opening, but I could not piece all this puzzle together, so it take a long time, not until I come into meditation later on that helped me to piece, bit by bit. But it's very difficult because all this concept is very abstract, isn't it? It's very abstract. It's not, it's you can't really piece things together. It's just taking experience. And at that time, there was no internet. Right. There was no internet for you to find any knowledge. All the information that you can have is only from newspaper. And then you didn't know then that newspaper or all these things, it was controlled. Yes. It was controlled all along. Yeah, you see, you know that. That's make it harder, make it so frustrated. Yeah.
So a couple of quick questions before we continue. When you went to university, what were you studying?
Oh, that is a very good question. I'm glad that you asked. You see, from that point that I experienced this inner bliss, in this forest monastery, and I told myself that this is it. This is what I really want. But at that time, I was only first year university, and then second year, you got to choose the subject that you want to do. And then I really want to learn this thing, about your inner peace, about the meaning of life. But is there any faculty that can offer me that? So I went to my student advisor. I said that I really want to learn something like this. And what she threw at me, she threw me the handbook, the university handbook about, 1,000 pages there. Okay, you can choose whatever faculty that you want, which is nothing in there that can offer you of what I really want. And the only faculty that is close to what I want is what is it? Sociology. Oh my God. Sociology and anthropology, but it's still not exactly what I want, really. Not exactly what I want. So, but yeah, so don't ask me about what sociology is all about. I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. I got a degree, but I don't have a clue. But anyway, from that moment onward, I joined the Buddhist club. I joined the Buddhist club at the university, and it was this Buddhist club that took us, to this temple and that temple, and allowed me to learn meditation from this monk and that monk. That was how my journey, began. And then I took more time to go to temple and learn meditation and helping people more than, stuck with all the subject at the university. I still managed to graduate somehow, but don't ask me about what I learned. God,
that's so beautiful. Like you're just in the right place, and the Buddhist club was there. Can I ask you a couple of things here? Because a lot of people have heard about the Buddha, but a lot of people don't know his actual story, or where he came from. Would you please enlighten us just for a couple of minutes and share the story of Buddha?
So the Buddha was born in India, in India. And yeah, he was a prince. He was a prince, and then was kept really comfortable, in the palace. But it reached a point that he also asked about, what is the meaning of life? He was cocoon, his father really want him to be the next king of this kingdom. But because there is a word called perfection, which is linked with all the previous life that he accumulated, all his perfection, all his karma to be a Buddha. So this caused him to ask question, what is it outside this palace, outside the palace wall? So he asked his father, to visit outside the palace. And then that was the first time that he experienced aging, he asked his private secretary, his private, assistant, Chana, which name is Chana. Chana, what is that? What is that? Because he never seen any old people in the palace. His father just make sure that everything, was really nice and beautiful in the palace. You don't see any white hair or any aging people. But when he went out of the palace, you can imagine in India at that time, isn't it? Chana, what is that? Why people got white hair, or, walking like that? What's the mean? Chana said that is people who get old, they become like that. And then the next day you see the people with sickness, people, on the floor, and then really suffering with illness. So experience all this, and then aging, illness, and death. Yeah. So that thrown him into the corner that forced him to ask serious question what life is all about. And how could he end all this suffering? You see, so he asked that question, and then in the end, he also met what monk, as what you call, as I always pronounce this word wrongly. The yogi, the spiritual person, ascetic,
asceti.
No, like monk,
A monk.
Yeah. So who lead the spiritual life, you see. So he thought that, that is something, that maybe something that he could do, you see. Yeah. So in the end, he chose to leave the palace on the day that his wife, his beautiful wife, gave birth to his firstborn. Yeah, gave birth to his firstborn, and the Buddha, the prince, he was a good man, who have the high responsibility, for his wife and his baby. But he chose to leave the palace on that day because he knew that had he stayed any longer, he would attach, that bonding to his wife, to the baby, would stop him to search for something that is much greater. And something that is much greater is the ultimate enlightenment. Mm-hmm. The ultimate enlightenment. So he kind of denounced everything that he had in the palace life, and then leave the palace to search for something that is much greater, until in the end he reached the ultimate enlightenment, and he was able to help, humanity in a big way. Yeah.
Thank you, Supawan, because what you did there was really kind of give a great synopsis, and you added elements that a lot of people in the Western world haven't heard about the Buddha before. Is it also true that he did write his own story, his own journey from his hand? Is that true?
What do you mean by that? You mean
that he wrote his own that he wrote his own story, that the prince who became the great Buddha wrote his own story about his own journey? Or did it happen after he died? Like the Bible is, written 500 years after most people die.
Oh no, he didn't write it himself. Well, the Buddha, after his enlightenment, he reached enlightenment at the age of 35. 35, yeah. And then he carried on teaching for 45 years. So he had so many disciples. And then after his passing at the age of 80, all the disciples, the main disciple really, told the story. And this is the beginning of what you call as the Pali Canon, or the Tripitaka. So the Tripitaka or the Pali Canon is similar to the Bible, to the Bible, but it belonged to his disciple, the main disciple who remember this story. So we told the story of the Buddha about his teaching. So there are three main subjects. The sutra is all about the teaching that he teach people here and there, and then the discipline that the monk need to do. Like the monk, that the Buddhist monk that got to have 227 rule that they have to follow discipline. Okay. And then the third basket is the third subject is about metaphysics, really. It's about metaphysics. They call Abhidharma, which is very complex with all the Pali, language. I can't really understand myself. I only know just a little bit, that's all. So it wasn't a story that the Buddha wrote it himself. No, it's still, the Buddha story is true, but it was his disciple, his close disciple who talk about it. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
And then they put together in the way of chanting. So the Buddha, 45 years, the teaching topic is 84,000 topics.
Good Lord.
Okay. And then they put all these 84,000 topics, into chanting. That is how they pass on the Buddha's teaching until I think a few hundred years, even 1,000 years later, that is put down on paper, on some kind of, script. Yeah, it wasn't right.
Right,
Yeah.
much like the other indigenous beautiful brothers and sisters on our planet, where there's so many oral teachings or drawings before there's actual papyrus, whatever, writings. Yeah. Beautiful. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about when you went into the temple the first time, and when you received your first, I suppose you could call it an awakening, when you connected to the chanting. It did something on a cellular level. It touched your heart. You felt that kind of beautiful nirvana in some respect. What happened then? What was the journey from that point?
Okay, I would say that very first experience, it was only a starter. Yeah, but it was enough for me to pursue this spiritual path. Okay, and it took quite a long time. No, I think so. That was my first year student. And then come to my third year in Thailand, we have 4 years university. Come to my third year, I have this very extraordinary experience. Okay, in fact, happening on the pier. I live. There was a Chao Phraya River, okay, in the middle of Bangkok. So we live on this side of the river, and then the university is on the opposite side. So every day I got to cross over the river. And then one day I was on my way to the university. I was on the pier waiting for the ferry to come. And then something happened within. So let's say, like bring your mental self back home. So let me suppose this thing is my mental self, my inner self, okay, in the energetic form, or basically it's your consciousness, really. Okay, and then I got what I call Jerry. So I got all my tool here. So this body here, this physical body, I always call it's just a shell. This is not a real self. Right. It's not, so it's only a shell. Our real self is a consciousness, which I call a mental self, or inner self, whatever you want to call. So this is your inner self. And then you also got your thoughts, memories, and feelings, right? Which I call Jerry. Okay, are you familiar with my Tom and Jerry? Yes, Jerry. Okay, analogy. So one day, so Tom and Jerry is very much like, look at your nail and the flesh. Okay, nail and the flesh that stick together and blend into one sensation, one feeling. Okay, that is, yeah. Here's another prop here. So the red part is your consciousness, right? And this white, this water is your thoughts, memories, and feelings, which I call Jerry. which we call Jerry, okay? And that is your inner self, mental self, or consciousness. And it's blend into one. It's just like, you know, flesh and the nail.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that morning at the pier, something happened. So let's say this is Jerry, your thought, memories, and feeling, and this is your consciousness, which all blend into one. And on that morning at the pier, something happened. As I was looking at the river, you know, the water flowing in the river, this Tom and Jerry, they got disconnect and go beyond. They were separated. It's just like your nail and the flesh, you know, it's just separate from each other, which is something that I never experienced before. Never experienced before, but suddenly it just separate apart. And then that was a really aha moment. Oh my God, what's happening? And then I was frozen. The ferry came, the ferry went, but I was frozen. I didn't move for fear that this experience would disappear. And it lasts for about 5 minutes. So I could see that. So that moment, I never seen my thought before. Okay, but that moment is almost like my thoughts, my thinking, it was the current in the river that's separate from my consciousness, which I never seen before. Okay, and then gradually after 5 minutes, these two things, you know, blend into one again. But this separation stick in my memory. And that was the very first experience that allowed me to understand the concept as the observer and the observed. You know Krishnamurti, don't you? Krishnamurti, yeah. Krishnamurti is the one who talked about the observer and the observed, which I could not understand before. But from that moment onward, I understand completely. Oh, this is what he meant. This is the observer. This is the observed. Anyway, that was the enlightening experience for the first time. Okay, but it lasts only 5 minutes. And then what happened? Another, I would think 7 or 8 months after that. 7 or 8 months after that, in that house where, you know, opposite the university, I had to lie down, you know, in the late afternoon. And when I woke up, the room was jet black because it's gone dark already, you know, 6 or 7 o'clock. I'm not sure. And then by then I had the habit of every time that I lying down, I would focus on my breathing, you know, doing meditation, lying down meditation. I would be, you know, have this awareness to my breathing, just really happen naturally. And then when I woke up, yeah, I go straight back to my to my breath. And then I was thinking of my sister downstairs. She was doing the cooking. I'm about to go down to help her do the cooking. And as I was pushing myself from the, you know, sleeping position, I was pushing myself upward in between that position of lying down and getting up. This experience happened again. That is disconnect and go beyond. The separation between Tom and Jerry, or my consciousness and my thought, it's got separated again in big time this time, big time. And so the first exclamation I said, oh my God, is there such a thing happen? Is there such a thing exist? Because this is the, I would say that I experienced this ultimate freedom within. It was the kind of freedom that I'd have never experienced before, apart from that 5 minutes briefly. But this time, it is really in big time. I said, oh my God, what happened? What happened? But it's all within, you see. It's just like something, you know, it just like it has the magnetic field, and this magnetic field, suddenly it just collapsed and then separate these two things. I said, oh my God. So that was the first time that I could feel this ultimate freedom. That is most awesome. There is no word to explain. And that's how, but at that time, I still didn't connect the word nirvana with it. The word nirvana, it happened. So anyway, this experience lasted for 6 months this time.
Wow.
6 months. 6 months, you know, I still remember, I cannot remember that what happened. I just remember that I sat on the side of the bed in pitch black, okay, in the darkness, and then try to absorb what's going on within. And then I didn't have enough theory to back up. I just have the raw experience. That was only about 2.5 years after that blissful state in the forest monastery. Only 2.5 years, because and that was still in the student year that I didn't pay any attention with the curriculum at all. You know, it's just all about practice. And then all I remember is that the next day I had to go to the I had to go to the market with my sister, help her to do, you know, the grocery shopping in the open market in Bangkok, you know, and the market was really busy with people, you know, pushing trolley here and there, you know. But I remember that I let my sister go, and then I stood in one corner, and I felt myself that I was in another dimension. I wasn't there with everyone. I was in another dimension that it's just so strange to me, really strange. I said, what's going on? And you know, one thing that is so weird is that the minute I have a thought in my head and I was going to utter, another thought come in, say, liar. I say again, liar. I could not say anything because every thought that come into my head, I lie. It wasn't true. It wasn't true. So I could not say anything at all. But that state of mind, it's just totally void of thoughts. It's totally silent. And the minute there has one thought come, liar, another liar. So I just could not say anything. I could not talk. I remember so vividly on that morning that I was in another realm, another dimension, that I don't know what all this all about. All these people, you know, walking back and forth, doing things, you know, pushing this and that. You know, it's just so alien to me.
Yeah.
So alien to me. Anyway, I could experience, so I was with this really awesome freedom. It was the mental and spiritual freedom that I have never experienced before. It was awesome. But I could not connect with anything that the Buddhas teach. It's just pure experience. Okay. And then after 6 months, what happened? You see, this is from my own experience. 6 months after that, it's gone. And then another 3 months after that is another crackdown on student at my university.
Oh dear.
You remember that the first year we chased away the tyrant, the 3 general, you know, away from the country. And then 3 years after, they came back for a vengeance.
Wow.
They came back for a vengeance. So the tyrant came back in the form of a monk. Yeah, with the you know, uniform of monk. And then so the student got together and then want to chase them out of the country again. But this time, I think we were too naive. And this time we were really crushed. And I was one of the student, not the student leader, but in the Buddhist club. You know what we're going to do? We were going to do the hunger strike. Oh gosh, to think back, we were so naive. We were going to throw our life away. And that was on the 5th of the 5th of October, okay, 1973 or something, or 75. Yeah, 73. Yeah. And I was the leader who was going to, lead the hunger strike in the Buddhist club, and in our university, the mob is 100,000, students get is everywhere. We were going to chase them out, and we were going to do the non-violent, fashion hunger strike kind of thing.
Right.
And you know who saved me? Because on the next morning, that was the crackdown. But on the 5th, the evening of the 5th, it was my mom. My mom, who went into the university among all those 100,000 mob, and went to the stage, asked them to page for Supawan, I'm looking for my daughter. I said, oh my God. I didn't see her, but was my cousin. My cousin spotted my mom and then took her to the Buddhist club. I said, oh my God, Mom, what do you do here? What are you doing here? I said, I'm coming to look for you. Don't. Oh my God. So when I saw my mom, my heart melted.
Yeah.
I had to take my mom home. So I took my mom home and left all my friends there. We were going to stay overnight there in the campus, And then I took my mom home. And for some reason, my mom must have known something, I don't know, psychically. She held my hand. She said that, promise me, don't go back to the campus. Go and stay with your sister, which is the house opposite the river. Mom lived in another place, you see. So promise me. So okay, I promise you. So I kept the promise, I went back to my sister. But 5 o'clock in the morning, I grabbed the bag and then ran to the pier. By the time I get to the pier, I knew that something went wrong. I heard the gunfire, the fire, the gun. I mean, M16, to think about, the river was that, but I knew that something wrong. And that was the crackdown from the tyrant. They came back for us with vengeance. Yeah. And then I still managed to get the ferry to the opposite, to the campus. But by then, all the soldiers, they're all with the M16, they all shoot into the campus. And we got nothing to fight. We got nothing to just ask them, please just stop shooting at us, all these things. And then, I went straight to one of the soldiers who got the M16 in the hand. And they tried to suss it out whether I was a student or not. By then I was 22. And then suddenly the gun is pointing at me, and then I ran. So I was in that area, just outside the campus. And then I went hysterical. I went absolutely hysterical. I just keep on crying because I left all my friends in there. Yeah. I was supposed to be in there with them, stay overnight, and then hunger strike, all these things, but in that morning, that was happening. So what I try to say is that, you see, I had this very awesome experience of the spiritual freedom, really. Mm-hmm. The spiritual freedom, really free. But it's only 8 months after that, 8 or 9 months after that, I went hysterical. I went hysterical because of that political, event.
Well, the trauma of seeing your friends shot to death and murdered.
And that time it was absolutely awful. It was absolutely awful.
Can't imagine, darling.
Yeah. So many were killed. So many, and then lots of arrests after that, this and that. I went hysterical. I just kept on crying. And then afterwards, so I was around there, witness all this killing, and then my mom again sent my brother out to look for me, and he found me, went home, and then went back to my mom. We saw the 5 minutes of the television, footage of the killing of the student, in the campus, you know, the hanging, the burning, all this stuff.
Oh my God.
And then I went into depression for another 6 months after that. I could not smile. I cry and cry. I went into, so I tell you, you know, all the story about, you know, the timeline that happened to me, even though I had this really awesome spiritual experience, but 9 months after, I was in a mess again, into depression, Yeah. So afterward, I told my mom that, and then a few months after, that was my graduation, which I didn't pay any attention, and we didn't go into the ceremony or anything. But instead, I went to ordain as a nun in the forest monastery right up north for 3 months. And then 3 months afterward, I came down to Bangkok. I still didn't feel right. You know, the pain, you just set back again. I could not go home because I asked my mom to leave home once. If I went home and then asked her to leave again, it's just not fair on her. So I went to stay another 3 months in a cave by myself.
What?
In a cave.
Goodness. In Bangkok?
Yeah.
Also
no. In fact, it's a forest monastery, but there is no building. It's just really in the forest. Yeah. And then from this community, you got to walk another 1.5 kilo, you know, up the hill, and then the side of the hill, it got all this cave that the monk they make it. I went there during the student year. You know, the cave is just big enough for you to lie down. Right. You got to walk up, and then got about on the side of the cave, you have about 7 to 8 paces that you can do walking meditation. And then if you want to go to sleep, you have to climb up and down into the cave, and then you lie down there.
Right.
So I went there, you know, stay for another 3 months. Bear in mind that I was just 23 years old, and I had no fear whatsoever to stay there for 3 months.
Amazing.
All by myself. Yeah, it was, to look back, I still cannot understand how I did that, you know, why I had no fear.
Well, you're probably still traumatized as well from everything you've been through, and you've seen death in front of your eyes.
I just desperate for some, you know, solitude, and want to find that inner peace back to my life. So I just go on meditate. Yeah. And then
Supawan, can I ask you, when you talk about the forest monastery, are we to assume that it was a Buddhist monastery?
Yes.
Okay.
In Thailand,
Okay. Yeah. And how did you eat? How did you get food every day for 3 months?
Oh, as I say, that this is the forest monastery, so you walk about 1.5 K, up to K, and then once a week you come down. Oh yeah. To this, and then you stock all these little bananas, you know, nuts, and then you can have the food, you know, to take it up there. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you can come down anytime that you want, but once you've got the food stock up there, you know, and then when you meditate, you just don't feel hungry. And sometimes the monk, they let someone take the food up there for me. Yeah. But most of the time I was there by myself.
I don't want to jump ahead too quickly. Your story is just so mind-blowing and really deeply astounding on so many levels. And again, it's like we all suffer in our life, and there are some who suffer somewhat more. Not that we want to ignore everyone's suffering, we don't, because everyone's suffering is important to them, of course it is. But girl, you have gone through so much, my goodness. And this is just so deeply intriguing and very historical too, because you're filling in some timelines. Because in the world, in Great Britain and in America, two countries where I have lived, and Canada where I have lived, let's say Western countries, we don't get the depth or the real truth of the things happening across the world. Actually, Britain's pretty good, or was in the past, of showing you shock horror. But in America and Canada, where I have physically lived for several years, not just gone on holiday, the culture there in those countries was they wouldn't show you every single thing. So the things happening in Bangkok, for example, may not have been shown. And certainly in the last few years, things are really hidden, you know. So it's great, that sad, tragic, but great that you are giving us infill as a young lady who was there, you know, who was there at that horrific second battle in Bangkok. Okay, so when you came out of the cave, where did you go then?
Yeah, I came out because I came to my senses that it's just not fair on my mom, because that time you don't have, you know, all these phone to connect. And my mom didn't really know whether the daughter was still living or died, you see. So I thought that even though I find the peace there, but it's just not practical. You're a woman, you know, a girl, you still got no job, got no money. How can you carry on? And honestly, I cannot be a nun. I cannot be a shepherd nun because you end up looking after monk, you know.
Oh God.
That is not on. So in the end, I said that, okay, that's enough. I have to go home for my mom's sake, really. Yeah, so I went home, and then later on, I got the job with the United Nations, the UNHCR, the High Commissioner for Refugee. Yeah. As I work as a social worker. Helping the minor, you know, the unaccompanied minors. And because working in the camp, you know, in the refugee camp like that, you remember the Khmer Rouge that invaded, the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia at that time, the Khmer Rouge, and then they all, you know, ran to Thailand, that in 1979. Yeah. That was the world event. And so that was it. I met my my husband there, who was also the volunteer, you know, to work for the United Nations. That's how we met, and brought me here to England. Yeah. So yeah, that was 42 years ago.
42 years ago.
Yeah, that's it now, with 3 children. But so I want to make the connection that to help people to understand how can I get to this work. Okay, so after I married to my husband, brought me to England, I had a chance to work as a Tai Chi teacher at Birmingham University. Okay, Birmingham University. And then in 1997, that was the same year that my mom passed away, the same year that Diana, you know, was killed in the car accident as well. Diana. Yeah. And that year, my mom passed in March. October that year, in the autumn, I went to teach at the university. Okay. I think it's on Monday around 1 o'clock. I had another spiritual, you know, experience, another extraordinary experience that I describe as something happened in here. The knowledge, something illuminating in here, the enlightening knowledge that compared to 10 suns. You just boom. Suddenly all the knowledge that it was obscure before, you know, it's just like the jigsaw pieces, the jigsaw puzzle pieces that is all scattering, suddenly and that moment is all click, click, click into place. Allow me to understand, oh, this is what it's all about. So you see, these two extraordinary experiences that about 16 years apart, but it made the complete body of knowledge for me. Yeah. that allowed me to connect that, oh, that experience that I had, prior to that, that was, you can call that what the Buddha called nirvana. The Buddha called nirvana, because it's the really, ultimate freedom, mentally, spiritually. So this is the nature of home. This is where the word home come from. Bring your mental self back home. Is come back to this one. Whereas this, Jerry, or your thought, is the imprisonment, the bondage. You see. So my work is all trying to help people to disconnect and go beyond this, Jerry. The reason for your mental pain, for your mental suffering. Really bring your mental self back home. And then I try to connect all these big words like God, like source now, the word source, the word, the ultimate truth, here and now, all these things, connect with this state of mind. Yeah. So this is my main work. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, put in brief. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you talked about, excuse me, 1997, I think that's also the year. Was that the year that you wrote your book, A Handful of Leaves?
Was that 1997? No. That come later?
Well, this book is so beautiful. And for you guys out there, it's a very short book. It is such a treasure trove of reminders of things that we've been taught over the years, put together. It's A Handful of Leaves by Supawan Green.
1999. So it's only 2 years after that.
All right. And then I love at the bottom where you've written, the knowledge that humankind must know before they die. A lot of people that don't know how to meditate, they don't know how to find inner peace, they're looking for it. This little book is so simplified and so easy to read. And I was reading it, it was reminding me of we seemed to be on a very big spiritual revolution in the 90s, really 90s, early 2000s, and so much has been shut down. Unfortunately, there was so much awakening and wisdom. You mentioned in the book that remember those the pictures, you'd look at them long enough and you'd see an image, a 3D image come out.
Oh yeah. What do you call the yeah, it was quite popular at that time.
And then they stopped it. And the reason why it was stopped is because it was giving people too much power to recognize, wow, I can look at something a different way. If I squint my eyes, I can see the 3D image come out of what looks like just a flat colored geometric print. Or if I put it up to my eyes and I keep staring, I'm going to draw out the 3D block image in there. So, I mean, you've written several books, and that's the last one I read from your collection. You were also teaching Tai Chi at Birmingham University. Can you tell us briefly how you got into that? And would you recommend Tai Chi as a route through for people to find more peace in themselves?
Yes. Well, there's a story to tell how I get the job there. I never dreamed to have a job, teaching at university. The truth is that when I applied for it, I didn't even have any qualification. I myself just tried to train myself, learn myself in the garden, here, that's all. But for some reason, as I was training myself, one morning, there was a thought into my mind, said that go and teach Tai Chi. I said, what? Go and teach Tai Chi, go and teach Tai Chi. It's just really bugging me in there, for a long time. So I kind of play along with it. So I asked where, and then the word come in, the University of Birmingham. And then when I heard that in my head, I said, that crazy, you're crazy, you're delusional. You just, because I'm in no status at all, to work near university. My English was still quite broken, and I'm married to a working class man in a working class community here. I just never thought that I could go to teach at a university. But on that day, it was so powerful. It just keep on punching me in my head. go and teach Tai Chi at Birmingham University. But I asked myself, how can I go to teach? Because I don't even finish all the movement myself, you know? But it was forceful enough for me to pick up a phone at the end of the day, in the afternoon, to phone to university, at the sports center, you know, saying, I said, do you have any Tai Chi class here? I said, no, we don't have one. If you are interested, just write a letter, send it to me. So I did just that. I did just that. For some reason, you just do it. And then what happened? I got the answer from Mr. Bonser saying that I'm going to go abroad, you know, but when I come back, I would like to talk to you. And then so I kind of, okay, you know, wait for the letter, but the letter never came, to my relief, because I don't know what to say, because I don't even know myself, you know. Yeah. So, and then 8 months gone, only about 3 days before I came back to Thailand, you know, with my baby, because we didn't really have much money. So I have to make a plan to come back to Thailand with my baby before my baby was 2 years old. Because if you below 2 years old, you don't have to pay for the ticket, you see. So 3 days before, for some reason, the thought came back in, ring the university. Okay, ring the university. So I rang the sports center, and then Mr. Bonser, the one who wrote to me, you know, I said, hello, Mr. Bonser, I'm Mrs. Green. I wrote to you, you know, before about the Tai Chi class. And then he said, oh, Mrs. Green, you know, I'm sorry I didn't answer you. Please, you know, come to see me tomorrow, that kind of thing. So go to see on the next day. I thought that, okay, for an interview. And then I thought I was going to come clean that, look, I just know all I know, which is not many movement at all. Okay, I'm going to come clean with him. Yeah. But you know what, Dani? As soon as I saw Mr. Bonser, I said, oh, hello, Mrs. Green. Here, come. I'm going to show you which room you're going to teach. I said, oh, my God. Aren't you going to ask me whether I'm qualified? Where's all the paperwork? You know, ask me something. Am I qualified to teach Tai Chi? You're supposed to ask me. But he didn't. He said, yeah, Mrs. Green, you're going to teach in this room. This is dojo. You're going to get, you know, £10 an hour. That kind. I said, oh my God, you're not going to teach to ask me anything. Can you see that? This is weird. This is weird, which is many years after, I just knew that this is all been planned from up there. Of course. It's all the divine, you know, planning for me.
Yeah, divine orchestration.
Yeah, because I need to be there at Birmingham University. So I end up there, working there for 18 years at the sports center. And that was the time that I began to materialize all this concept, you know, all this concept about Tom and Jerry, bring your mental self back home, this and that, that I've, you know, wrote tons of them. It's all happened at Birmingham University when I taught Tai Chi. So I was, so it worked out like that. So I told Mr. Bonser that, okay, I'm going to Thailand. And he said that, yeah, that's fine. When you come back, you know, you can start teaching in the summer term, which worked out so perfectly, because the minute I get to Thailand, I spend every morning run to the park and learn Tai Chi. Record them, everything. It just worked out so perfect. Yeah. So I came back, at least I know all the movement. I recorded and then practice. You know, that was good 6 weeks that I was in Thailand. And every morning I leave the baby to my sister, please look after my baby. And then I spend about 3-4 hours every morning from 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, every morning. Yeah. For a good 5 weeks, you know, learn Tai Chi and came back and start teaching there. So that's how I started. But the point is that when I started teaching Tai Chi in here, it's all about, you got to make it into meditation. This is all this, creativity, happened to me that time, thinking all the time, because teaching Western student is very different from Thai people. You need to have the solid reason, logic, back up. You cannot just explain anything, fluffy like that. You can't. You just have to explain everything rationally. So this is the beginning of all this analogy about Tom and Jerry, and it's all because I had that experience before. So all my knowledge is not from reading a text. I read very little. I read only, during the student years, that's all. Okay. But once I have this extraordinary experience in here, the knowledge, what I call intuitive wisdom, intuitive knowledge, it just spring out, from within.
Yeah.
From within, which I only just understand now, that is from all my subconscious, all my whatever that you want to call, inward. So can you see that all the books that I wrote is all in this size, all monster like that? This is the English, but the Thai book altogether is about 40, 50, title, but it's all come from within. It just spring out from within. Yeah. Yeah, because of that ultimate experience that I had.
Yeah.
You see. Yeah. So I tell my student that I'm teaching I'm teaching the Buddha's, teaching from inside out, not outside in. From inside out. Inside out, it means that I have this experience under my belt already, and I know exactly how to guide people to come to that ultimate experience, basically.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And now I don't want to miss anything out, because you've had such an extraordinary life, an extraordinary journey, and there has been so much suffering and hardship along the path, and something within you has kept hold of that loving light, that inner consciousness, that you have created your healing center, bring your mental self home in Bangkok, Thailand. How many students would you say you have had and have? Because I've heard it's in the thousands, but please tell us what you do, what your healing center is in Thailand, and the level of
the healing. You call the healing center. Well, that was my dream from the beginning, that I went to teach in Thailand. So everything is all planned out in this way. So after 18 years at Birmingham University, that was the time that I started all the writing, you see, and then I sent to Thailand. I had no plan whatsoever to teach in Thailand, because in this style, being a woman in a male dominant society in Thailand, among the monks, I have no room there. There is no room for me there, you see, in Thailand. So I never have any ambition to go back to Thailand and start teaching there. That wasn't my intention at all. My intention was that I love writing, because I got so much in here to share. So I just wrote all these things, Yeah, I think my late son can give you some picture. Can I show you?
Yes, please.
And
can you tell us the name of your beloved son, and that he's now in another realm?
Yeah, his name is Supawan Green. I think he captured the work of his mom quite well. So I think this is just the right moment to show. So I do the share screen, and then go into this, and then share. Okay, yeah, okay. So yeah, so Supawan could summarize what his mom, did in his life quite well. Yeah.
From the youngest age, I can ever remember, the first memory is of my mother typing back on an electric typewriter. That's all we could hear. And then we went to computers, and that's all I ever remember of my mother at the beginning of my life, is her working, writing. And then the first book came, and as a kid, I didn't really understand the importance of that at the time. But fast forward to now, and we realise all of that work that she's done has come to fruition, and this is a standing testament to the work that she's done. So, as a family member, I can only say I'm extremely proud of her and of what she's done. I don't think she ever expected to get this far as it is now, but here we are. It's amazing.
What did it take putting this together?
In terms of our struggle and fighting the establishment of established Buddhism, for example, getting through that to get to where she's now, that's a lot of effort. I think more than the actual physical output of it, her struggle to get her teachings out there to the world and people to believe it, and that was the biggest struggle. Because organised religion is a very male-dominated area, and to have a female come along and say, "We should do it this way," couldn't come up with some different, but in usual Ajahn Supawan style, she overcome those obstacles. As a start, we have two Supawans, Ajahn Supawan and Mother Supawan.
Right. Okay.
As a mom, I'm extremely proud of my mom foundation of bringing your mental self back home. I couldn't be prouder of where we are standing today, because it's a great achievement.
Oh, hands are going up already. You take the power of fast, don't you? Come here, man.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, Sian, with us. That was beautiful. What a gorgeous, beautiful man. I mean, he was.
I think he can summarize, his mom's work quite well.
I think so.
Thank God we got that clip too.
Yeah, darling.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And is he at your center in Thailand in that clip?
Yeah, that was in March 2021. March 2021. That was the opening, the grand opening of the center of Bring Your Mental Self Back Home Center. Yeah. And then Sian passed, crossing over in May 2022. So it's only, a year after that. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this is another testimonial that it's only 8 or 9 months since Sian gone, but I can bounce back quicker than most people think, back to my work. And that is the only thing that helped me to be able to bounce back so quick as a mother who lost her son, is the knowledge. This knowledge that I have in here, this experience that that the Buddha called nirvana, that you call, general term is source or Godhood, or, those is just label, but it's just this one in here, plus all the knowledge that helped me to get my life back so quick. Otherwise, I don't think I can do all this. No. Yeah. Without all those knowledge, I don't think I would survive this long, to be able to carry on with the work like that. Yeah. So it's a testimonial for people to know that this knowledge is so precious, so important, and it can help you to keep your sanity, to keep your mental freedom, and give you that strength as well. Give you that strength that you need, we all need.
Yeah. And Sian talks about how much you struggled in a male-dominated environment. The monks Can you speak a little bit to what you actually witnessed and bring a light to that? You know, how difficult the monks have been to you over the years?
I think because she knew that what his mom went through in my lifetime, I went through 2 events that I was humiliated by monks in the audience of other people as well. Yeah. Well, the first time was in England. That was quite traumatic. Yeah. And the second time I was already an Ajahn Supawan, teacher Supawan. Yeah. And then again I was humiliated in a more or less a conference room. Yeah. I think monks must see me as a threat, being a woman, and come forward to talk about the core teaching of the Buddha, talking about nirvana, helping people to have nirvana as their refuge, which is really is a job that the monk's supposed to do, not a housewife like me, and then suddenly I'm doing this in the front line. They must have heard about me, I don't know. And that situation is just, they didn't like me. So they humiliated me, in big time, in front of the audience of 80 people. That was the second time in Thailand. Yeah. And I swore after that, I don't want to be near monks anymore. Right. I don't want. Right. Yeah. So this is the male dominant society.
Yes.
So yeah. That's why I said go back to what rewind back to what I want to say earlier, that I never wish to come back to Thailand and teach, but because this is what upstairs planned for me. What upstairs planned for me, because I only just wanted to write books and then have it printed in Thailand and let people, benefit from what I wrote. That's all. But there was a teacher at Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok. After he read a handful of leaves in Thai version, he said that, "Oh, Kun Supawan, I'm happy to make a website for you." Yeah, because I really adore your work on this. So he had the website. Once the website came out, more Thai people get to know my work. And then they asked for me to go back to teach. So I went back to teach for the first time. And then I thought that, okay, record it. And then I will come back to England. And then I will never go back again, because I know that people won't like it. I mean, Thai people, they are really into the box. If you want to learn about Dharma, the Buddha's teaching, you got to listen to monks only, not from a woman who married to an Englishman as well. No. Yeah. It's not their style. It's just too challenging, you see. Yeah. So I did just that. In 2005, I went to teach just one time. But once the teaching came out, there were people that want more. So Supawan, you got to come back. So now I went back another, every year for 17 years now. 17 years, but I still try to keep myself to myself. You can see that all my books, I never put my picture in the front cover. None of my books with the picture of my front cover. None of them. None. Because I don't want to be exposed. I don't want, I don't want to challenge I just want to stay away from them. So, yeah.
There's room for everyone, my darling. There's room for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. But, recently, only 2 months ago when I was in Thailand, there was a monk came in to want to meet me. Yeah. But it was very encouraging. He said that, Ajahn Supawan, I'm glad that you talk about Nirvana, and you should talk about it. Keep on talking about it, because we monk, we can't do it. If monks do it, they're going to have, being criticized, being disrobed, all these things. Yeah, so there was some monk who agree with me, and then, but there were some also who I don't think they like me very much. Yeah, we have to be careful saying all this. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the center that you have created in Bangkok, in Thailand, called Bring Your Mental Self Back Home, has amazing attendance. Can you share a little bit about that? I heard a lot from Chris O'Connor when he came to visit with you.
Yeah. I'm so glad that Chris had a chance to go and see. It hasn't really completed yet. So this center, really, it was my dream from the early year that I went into Thailand, because my work is really unconventional, really break away from the tradition. And it's the only place that my student can talk about Tom and Jerry, or this analogy, bring your mental self back home, which no one use any of this analogy at all. So I said that we need a place, really, like if monks, they have temple to go to, but I don't have anywhere. I don't have a house in Thailand or anywhere at all. So I said that it would be nice to have a place. Yeah. And then it after 18 years, it started to materialize. Honestly, when I look at the center now, I still feel like it's a dream. It's a dream. And it's true that I dream and I think into reality, because I'm so focused. I'm just so focused of what I do. Okay. And all this work that I do, I just do from my heart. Just from my heart, just want to help people to have their inner peace, that kind of thing. So I just focus on all this, and then all these things, it just happened really naturally, because I don't have money. I'm married to, but I don't have money, but in the end, we raised, I don't even know exactly how much to build that place. Yeah, it's over 20 million Thai baht. With the garden now, it must be a good 30 million baht, and I still don't know where all this money come from. Of course, it's come from all my students. All the students, they all chip in like this to build the place. So it means that it's not really. I told them that you put all this money in, not because of this face, but because this face, this body have the knowledge that you all know that could help you to find your true self, help you to find your inner peace. That was the part that make you want to give away the money. And create into, this building that can be the place to accumulate all my work. So it's still quite new. But we have it for, meditation teaching, or the student that want to learn from me, that will come, can come here. So in the future, I hope that we are going to have the retreat from people from abroad. From England, from wherever. We are going to, I'm going to have a new website and then work on this one.
I love it. I'm planning to come visit you this year.
Please.
And,
you're welcome to the center.
So excited. It's wonderful. You're a wonderful testament in this, in the year 2023, of a woman who has lived and seen so much, as many women have. I mean, it always amazes me, not to bash men. Men are on their own evolutionary journey, and I think men have had a bit of a hard time the last few years of being very demasculated and whatever. There's a kind of an evolutionary shift, but some of it is manipulation from the powers that are not, trying to force a certain narrative or agenda. But my point is, I always think to myself, whenever there is this disparity between men and women, and it's out there in front of you, I always think to myself, hang on a second, we keep forgetting women birth the human race. I'm like, hello, and then there's what about the sperm, and what about the egg, and it's just so silly, but you will also serve long term as an inspiration to other women in countries like Thailand with that thinking that the monks can only by their masculine energy and their training be the ones that lead the way to evolution, revolution. And it's just not true. It's never been true. And then going back even further, creation story, Adam and Eve. Eve gets all the blame. None of us were there. We don't actually know what actually happened. We weren't there, right? And you know, I just it's just interesting. So, and again, we have to bring light into the ancient teachings because they are so like 100,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. We need to get up to this 2023. This is where we are. We don't allow tyrants anymore. I am just so proud of you. I've heard so many beautiful things, watched on the internet, so many things you've done, speeches that you've given, books that you've written. And I am so delighted to bring you on to my small but mighty channel, Supawan Green, and be able to share you with the beautiful audience that will see this.
Thank you very much, Dani. Thank you. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would love to share before we bring this interview to a close?
Yeah. I just want to say that, you know, there is a way out to life. Yeah, there is a way out. And that way out is that if you know a technique, which I call bring your mental self back home, which is really a meditation technique, you know, this technique can give you this self-empowerment, you know, that can make you be free here within, from within, you know, have your freedom mentally and spiritually. And this allow you to live what I call it, live in the eye of the storm. You know, we are living in this crazy world, increasingly crazy world, you know, but in this crazy world, there is a stillness within, just like the eye of the storm. And it is this state of mind that everyone needs right now. And this is the part that I can help people with. Yeah, I just want to share this with you.
That's beautiful. And we can put a link underneath this video with Bring Your Mental Self Back Home, and that will lead people to one of your beautiful meditation techniques. Yeah.
Yes, I will. Yeah, thank you very much, Dani.
Oh, Supawan, it has been my honor. Thank you so much for gifting your time. And
thank you.
I want to say hello to all of your students in Thailand. Hello. Yes, I know there'll be a few, several hundred that see this, and I'll be so excited for you as well, and all the beautiful people you've met in your life. And it's been a joy and an honor. And I know that I will see you soon, Supawan. Thank you, my love.
Thank you, Dani. Okay.
And to everyone else out there, thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying. And we'll put the links for Supawan's center and her books underneath this broadcast. And as always, I send you my love, and I will see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.